At Arizona State University, we've made online education better, smarter, and more personalized so you can go further in your aspiring field.
I decided to pursue medicine once I realized that ASU did have the online program for biological sciences. You're still required to learn the same curriculum. You're still being tested on the same content that anyone would be tested on in person. The comprehensiveness of the program prepared me so well for medical school.
Explore over 350 plus programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
Hello listeners at home, I'm Nathan for Cabot Tales and Trails, a Page One story music collection. For today's episode, we're interviewing Sue McFadden. Sue played a major role in Page One's Creating a Legacy project, where we'll get parts of our show. She's a co-founder of a knitting group right here in Deer Lake called Kindred Spears Knitting Yarn.
Mm-hmm.
How long have you been knitting?
Oh, I'd say I'm in my late 60s and I started in my teens, so that gives you a few decades.
A couple decades?
Yes, at least.
Do you know who taught you how to knit?
It was my sister, because I used to crochet, and going back, a few decades ago, that it was very popular, crocheting and making ponchos and these granny squares and everything. And my sister started to knit, and I liked what she was making, so I tried to copy what she was doing because I knit left-handed. And she helped me along, and eventually I got to the point where I could figure it out, and I went from there.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
Do you have any tips for anyone who's starting out new?
Just to be patient, to give yourself grace, and if you muck it up, just, pull it out, start it again, or, don't worry if it doesn't look the way you want it to look or it's not perfect. You just be patient and stick at it, stick with it, and you'll get it eventually.
Right.
Yeah.
What was it like moving from Ontario to Newfoundland?
Sideways. Okay. It was good. The short answer is it was really good. I'm from away. My husband Kevin is the Newfoundlander, but I met him in Ontario, so I was familiar with Newfoundland to a certain extent, of course, because he's comes from a big Newfoundland family, and lots of visits back and forth to Newfoundland and holidays here, and getting to know his family, those who also lived in Ontario at that time. But once we made the leap, and it was a leap of faith, we made the leap to move here because we always said we were going to retire here. And when that day finally came, visiting and holidaying, I always tell people this, are two different things from moving here and living here and immersing yourself in the culture and learning as you go and all that sort of thing. So there was a little bit of culture shock for me, but we were fortunate. We moved to a small outport on the Avalon, and we were really, really blessed because the couple across the road from us, they were a bit younger than we were, but they really took us under their wings. So they were great. Jeannie and Gerard Swain was their name, and they just, right from day one, were just super. They were our good friends, and they've remained our good friends. And every time I did something dumb or I did something the mainland way, Jeannie would say, no, don't do that, don't say that, and I'd say, why? Well, because people are going to think you're newsy, if you have a natural curiosity, no, can't do that in an outport, that in the small, you don't do that. So I learned from her, and it just became the best thing we've ever done, and I'm just so happy to be here. I like the West Coast a lot better, I have to say. The weather's way better. I'm just more comfortable here than I was on the Avalon, largely because of the weather. But
right, yeah, there's a lot of RDF out
oh,
east.
big time, yeah, and it's warmer here. But we had family living here, so we always used to say, geez, you people, you get all the good weather, and then we had the chance to dart across the island and stay for good. We took it. Yeah. Right.
Yep. Yeah. Was there much difference in the amount of snow between here and Ontario?
There's a funny story, actually, to go with that, because our first winter here was really pretty temperate, and we hardly had any snow, and we lived just this side of the snow belt in Ontario. So we were used to a lot of snow. I mean, a lot of snow. And I used to commute in it, so I was fairly used to it, driving from the Brant County area to Hamilton, in 2 feet of snow, you get used to it. We thought it wasn't bad here. We were saying, oh, wow, this is great. We can get used to this. It turns out that it was a really temperate winter. And the next winter, of course, was more like, what we're used to. And then when we moved over to the West Coast, well, we didn't even know what snow was over on the Avalon once we moved here to the West Coast. So, got used to it again in a hurry.
Right, yeah.
I don't have to drive in it anymore for work, and so I don't really mind it. I can stand at the window with my cup of tea in the morning and just, Yeah, no problem.
When you were in Ontario, what kind of job did you do?
Oh, well, I was a journalist by training, and I worked at that for some time when I was younger, and really enjoyed it. I love writing, and so when I learned about this group, I was really over the moon. But from that job, I worked in newspapers, and so did my husband, and that was actually how we met. And newspapers are dinosaurs now, really. Everything has changed radically. So from working in newspapers, I kind of took a sideways leap, and I ended up getting a job in the Ontario court system as a court reporter, and then as a court clerk. And so it really was a real sideways move, because court reporting and newspaper reporting or editing are nothing alike. It's two totally different things. But that helped me to get the job that I did get in the courts, and so I moved over into that. I'd be a counter or a desk sitter, recording the things and doing transcripts and stuff like that.
Ah, I see. So what did a typical day look like as a court transcriber?
Well, it could have been anything. Honestly, Nathan, from soup to nuts. You could have a very quiet day. The courts always start in the morning, the ones that I worked in, as in bail court. And you could get some really unusual and fascinating things happening in the court system, depending on the person that was up for requesting bail and that sort of thing. I don't want to, tell too many stories out of school, but you would get different things. You could get fights going, people in the audience who are there to, hopefully not let the person get bail, and so there might be some back and forth going on there. Of course, you would have people with health issues and mental health issues, and that sometimes made for interesting scenarios. But we were never afraid for our safety in that regard, because there's always lots and lots of staff and the court police and that sort of thing. So it was interesting. It was a real fascinating slice of life if you're a people watcher, or if you're into sort of the socio-cultural things that go on to make a world. From that point of view, it was a really, really interesting job. Yeah. Really long trials were like mind-numbingly boring, because all you're doing is sitting there making sure that you're getting every if and or but and every throat clearing, and you're not missing anything that has to be shown on the transcript. By the same token, they could really, really bog down and go on and on and on. Days of the same trial could become pretty boring from the point of view of the person sitting behind the desk. Yeah.
Oh, I bet. Yeah. I mean, I guess you are just kind of sitting there, kind of in the corner.
Yeah, and the lawyers get really into the nitpicky things, because they're lawyers, and they know the law, down to the last gasp, and so depending on the situation and on what the charge was or what the trial was about, you could get the lawyers going back and forth according to the letter of the law. So the judge or the justice of the peace wouldn't stop them, because they're doing what they're being paid to do. But from the point of view, from the outside looking in, you're trying not to fall asleep, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that would kind of get a little bit boring if they're kind of droning on about.
It could do. It could, yeah. Yep.
So there's, I guess, a very wide range of...
It really was. Yeah. Sometimes funny things happened, and something would happen, or someone would say something to crack up the whole courtroom, and so that you just never knew what to expect, really, in all honesty.
Right. I guess you must have been a good listener, right?
I think I am. I think I am a good listener. And in that job, yeah, you had to be, but you also had a machine going as well. Even though you're taking notes and making references to things that are going on in the proceeding, you also have a machine to back you up. So if you're not 100% sure, you can go to the tape. Back then it was tapes, and wind it up and make doubly sure that that was exactly what was said. Yeah. So that if you had anybody who said, I didn't say that, when you have an actual transcribing of what was said. So, because that does happen sometimes too. Or it did, yeah.
Oh, I bet, yeah.
Yeah.
I guess people try to swindle their way out of things.
Lots of times, Yeah, lots of creative interpretation. Yes.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
Do you have any skills that you would say that stuck with you from being a transcriber?
From that job? Well, listening, I guess, and attention to detail. Yeah. Yeah, just good listening skills and, really nitpicky details.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Jumping around now,
Sure.
how did Kindred Spirits Knit and Yarn start?
When we first moved here, I came over to Deer Lake because I got a job here. And knitting has always been a big thing for me. And along with two other women on the Avalon, I started up a group. We founded a group called Kindred Spirits. And it was great. It was a really good group. We got funding and we went for grants and things like that. So when I moved over here for this job, ostensibly it was for a 6-month contract. And then it turned out to be longer than that. And I really missed my groups and my meetings and so on. To sort of sidestep, without going into the details, through the town of Deer Lake, I applied for a New Horizons for Seniors grant to start up a Kindred Spirits group here. And I did it with the town, in conjunction with the town of Deer Lake. And that, I guess because I'm new, I didn't know it at the time. I was told that there wasn't any sort of a group like that. And of course, afterwards I found out there's all kinds of them. There's the knitting group in Reedville, and there are the ladies that just get together, once in a while for fun. And then there was the group that was operating out of the Salvation Army building, but not necessarily, a connection with the Salvation Army, but they were using their space because the Salvation Army had graciously allowed them to have it for free. I found out about that group because a lady dropped by my Kindred Spirits group one day and said, well, why don't you come out on Mondays to the knit and yarn? And I said, oh, well, I don't belong to the army. And well, you don't have to. She said, no, girl, anybody can come. Anyone that wants to come, come. I thought, okay, well. So the next Monday, and it's hard, for me anyway, it's hard to walk into a room full of complete strangers, but I really wanted to connect with people who knit and who were creative and did the kind of things that I did. So I went and I poked my head in the door of the group, and it was full, and this one lady said, oh, hello, welcome, come on in. And I thought, oh, yay, I like these people so much already. And that was how I got started with them. So I still did my Kindred Spirits thing on, I think at that time it was Thursdays or something. The Knit and Yarn group did their thing on Mondays. And the lady that ran that was, her name is Sylvia Patey. And she said, let's meet for lunch one day. I have something I want to run by you. So we met, and she said, what do you think about the two of us? It's a lot of the same people, and let's join ranks. And of course I jumped on that because now we've got people power even more for applying for future grants and for getting funding for special projects that we want to do. So I said, yeah, let's go for it. And that was how we got going.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So you guys have meetings every week?
We do. We meet Mondays and Thursdays. We meet Mondays at the Pentecost Church in the music room, and they very graciously donate the space to us for that. And then we meet Thursdays at the Deer Lake Public Library in the afternoons. And it's not two completely different groups. A lot of the same people go to both, including me and Sylvia. But it's two different sort of setups because we have the tea table and our tea and everything like that on Mondays over at the church. And again, there's no religious affiliation. People from all the different churches come to the meetings. It doesn't matter, okay? So that's not an issue. But then at the library, it's a different energy because it's a different space. And they very nicely give us a little wee table so we can put cookies or something on it for that too. Cookies are an important part of the meeting, see?
Right.
Yeah, and that's how we're doing it right now, and it works well. Yeah.
So anyone can come in?
Absolutely, we welcome everybody. People say, "Oh, I'm not crafty, or I don't knit, or I don't crochet," or you don't have to come for the social. Just come out. We used to have one lady, she can't get around very well anymore, but she would just come out and bring whatever craft she was working on her own. And it's just to be with like-minded people and, have a cup of tea and a cookie and a laugh, because we do. Oh man, we laugh a lot. Yeah, and if you do have something that you like working on, bring it with you. If you're looking for a new project, come out, because there's always tons, because we do get funding for special things as well. One thing is this poppy yarn bombing that I was telling you about before we came on the air. And we have socials. We had a road trip this past summer, and that was good fun, up to Triton. And we do a lot of special projects, but we also just get together a couple of times a week too, and it's great, man. Yep.
Really nice. So I hear you guys do Blankets for Newfoundland.
Yes. Yep. That's a program dear to my heart. It's called Blankets for Newfoundland. It's based loosely on the Blankets for Canada project that I believe is still in operation, but I know there's no Newfoundland chapter, because that was what I wanted to do, was start that up, and that for lots of reasons we couldn't go that route, so we started our own thing. We call it Blankets for Newfoundland, and we got funding again from the New Horizons for Seniors grant. Thank you, government. And we've done it now. I think it's 2.5, 3 years now we've been doing this, and we create and make blankets, lapgans, baby blankets, just for people who need warmth, basically, and we donate them to organized groups like Ronald McDonald House. We just sent another load of 30 baby and child-sized blankets to Ronald McDonald House, but we also support women's shelters, men's shelters, mental health facilities, where there are clients who live there year-round. Anyone who needs blankets, we sent a load up to Happy Valley Goose Bay. So I think we have donated now, jeepers, now I should have looked this up before I came here, but it's between 250 and 300 blankets now that have been donated all across the island and up into Labrador as well.
Oh wow, that's a lot of blankets.
It is, and it's we have so much. We have people contributing to this project now who are expats. They're Newfoundlanders, but they're living in Ontario, in Alberta. We have one lady, Jean Sally, she lives in Alberta, and she has been the biggest supporter. She makes these squares and finished blankets, and she ships them, on her own dollar, and she ships them to us here in Newfoundland. We have a mom and a son who are in Ontario. And I'm finally going to get to meet her, because they're coming out in a week or so to visit family, and they're going to drop in to a knitting project. We have a lady in Nova Scotia. We have a good few people up in Labrador who create and make, and they send it down to us, and we put them together into blankets, and then they go out to whichever group needs them at that time.
Oh, nice.
Yep. It's great. I'm really proud of that, and I'm so grateful to all of these amazing people who just keep donating, they keep creating and making and sending their products to us, and that we're able to send them on to other people.
Right, nice. You should be proud.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah.
We're kind of jumping around a lot today, I guess.
It's alright. I don't mind.
Do you want to read some of the things you've written for page 1?
If I have to. I was rereading some really interesting things from the book that page 1 did, Creating a Legacy, about how people arrived here in Deer Lake, or how they got here, or were they born and raised, and that sort of thing. And I went back into what I forget who interviewed me.
I think
it might have been Cynthia.
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah. But this is part of the transcript from there. And it, like a lot of people, so many Newfoundlanders, all my ancestors that I'm aware of. I'm into genealogy, but I'm not, a genealogist by any degree, and so I wish sometimes I had more knowledge there. But from what I've been able to find out, all my ancestors were from England, Ireland, and Scotland, and also from Norway, Danish, that sort of area, because apparently the fishers used to come out and they would go around the English coast and land in Cornwall. And so I know that some of my forebears were from Cornwall, and they originally, according to Ancestry anyway, they originated in Norway or Denmark. But my husband's oldest forebear on his mom's side was in Newfoundland in the mid-1700s. His name was Charles Newhook. He was Kev's oldest ancestor here, and he was brought over by one of the merchants to Trinity to work as a boat builder, because he was a boat builder, and he stayed on in Newfoundland. And that's Kev's earliest forebear on his mom's side. His earliest paternal one, his dad, arrived here sometime in the 1800s, and they came from Devon and Dorset in England. A lot of us Newfoundlanders did, and they were merchants or they fished. Now, for my own bloodline, my birth father was always like super proud, because he used to say we were like 6th generation Canadian on his I guess father's side it would be. And I've tried to track it, and it's really difficult because they had very, very common names. It's like everybody called their sons the same name because they wanted to pass it down along. So I haven't really been able to prove that or not, but I do know that the first ones that came, they came during the potato famine from Ireland. They came for a better life because of the potato famine, or because of limited prospects for the future, or for the lure of a new land. Now this bit is Kevin, my husband Kevin's dad, worked for the railway all over the island until it was shut down. Another Charles, or Charlie Newhook, Kev's maternal grandfather, was a mechanic for Bow Waters, and he had his mechanic shop in Howley. Kevin showed me it was right on the edge of the water, and any time the boats or the tugs would have problems, then Charlie Newhook would fix them. Kevin remembers when he was a kid looking across to the trestle bridge. He said in his mind he can still see that leg of the river down into the lake, chock-a-block filled with logs, and that he could see logs from one shore to the other as far as you could see up the waterway before the trestle bridge. And his poppy's shed, Charlie Newhook's shed, was right over at the edge of the water. Cooking, I love Newfoundland diet, and I laugh at some of my friends. They don't like Newfoundland music, they don't like Newfoundland cooking. They're Newfoundlanders, and to me it's, wow, when we first moved here, I love moose and fish, and when we first moved to the Avalon, everything was moose and cod and crab. Friends would often drop off a feed of fish, what they called it, if there'd been a good haul. You never bought cod, moose, or crab when we lived on the southern shore of the Avalon, because it just was there for the picking. And speaking of picking, because the place we first bought was an old schoolhouse, there were berry bushes galore all around the property. We had blueberries, unless the moose got them first. We had tons of blueberries every year. I learned how to make fish and brews. I make a really good fish and brews with scrunchions, and my sister-in-law taught me that. She put potatoes in hers and molasses on top, so I do too. For a come from away, I have to say that I embraced traditional Newfoundland dishes. I've liked them for as long as Kevin and I have been together, over 35 years. The only thing I couldn't get my head around to try and eat was rabbit, because to me they look like cats, and I love cats. So when we first moved back to Newfoundland, he ran rabbit lines. That was something he hadn't done since he was young, and again, because I'm a cat girl, I didn't want to see them because it looked like they were cats in the freezer.
That's something I like as traditional Newfoundland music.
Do you? So do I. I love it. And people, I laugh at people who don't like Newfoundland music, because to me it's, wow, you can just get moving to it,
Oh, you can, yeah.
We don't go to dances and stuff much anymore, but when we lived on the Avalon, because it was an outport, that was what there was to do. So we went to all the dances, and we went to all the open mics and all that sort of thing. And boy, I really like it. I like Newfoundland music a lot. I like the accordion, and I enjoy it.
Oh, I love the accordion. That's something I'd like to learn how to play someday.
Wouldn't you love to? It looks too tangly to me. I don't think I could pick it up, but I like to listen to it. I'll just read another little bit about Kevin and his family.
Yeah.
Even though he spent part of his growing up in Ontario and part of it here, it reads, Kevin's dad was a really traditional Newfoundland male, and he really was. They did everything for themselves. He taught all of his sons everything. Not the daughters, of course, but he taught the boys. They didn't buy anything that they could grow or catch or hunt for themselves. Kevin used to say that when he was a teenager and he wanted to hang out with his friends, his dad was like, nope, you boys are staying home today and you're going to help me put in that new window, or I'm going to show you how to fix this tire, or whatever it was. So Kevin can do anything pretty much, but it's because his dad taught them and they had to stick around the house to learn it.
Wow, really nice.
Yeah, really different.
You also have a little piece in Winter Music.
Oh, yes.
That's a book that Page One just recently published.
Yes.
Was it last year?
I think this was from last year. I think she published it, didn't she? I can't remember, Nathan.
I think it is last year, I
Yeah.
think.
This was just me whining about the snow, because it was a particularly snowy winter, the one that I was talking about. It wasn't last winter that I was talking about in this, so it had been the one before, where we started in November. We got a big, big snowfall in November, and it went right through. It was like 6 months of snow, you know?
Oh, yeah, I remember.
Yeah. Okay, so it's called Winter Musings, and it starts. It's snowing again. I hate snow. In truth, it hasn't really been that bad a winter this year. But until a couple of weeks ago, it had been what is referred to here as a temperate winter in western Newfoundland. Not too cold until the deep freeze. But then a blizzard moved in by way of Nova Scotia and blessed the entire island with varying degrees of windstorms and blowing, relentless, maddening snow. My neighbor on the eastern shore, before we moved to the other side of the island, used to laugh at my whining, saying, "You live on a little rock in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. Get used to it, girl." It could be worse. Last year we were nearly snowed in by late November. By January the drifts were halfway up the mudroom window. Even though no snowfall may have been forecast, it was sneaking during the night, seemingly innocuous and barely noticeable. Just a few light flakes to the naked eye drifting past the windows, illuminated by the street lamp in front of our house. Yet, when I crawled out of my hermetic winter bed the next morning, there it was again, a fresh, fluffy, brand new inch to cover over yesterday's winter transgressions. And it went on for weeks and weeks. It was winter forever. Now, in mid-February of this year, I feel no different than if we'd had 3 months of steady snow instead of that one intense storm to start it. 5 days of an intense winter storm, and now it feels like the snow has been here for months already. So what difference does it make, a so-called temperate winter versus a crappy traditional one? Today was semi-clear, so I drove 40 minutes to the big box store complex. It seemed like everyone else within a 60-mile radius was there too, delirious in their capitalistic freedom after the enforced hunkering down in our warm homes as the gales howled outside. In the huge grocery store, all of the seniors, including me, seemed to be staggering around in a fug of confusion at the bright lights and the plethora of overpriced food. A lady about my age backed into me with her cart and apologized profusely. "No, it's okay, girl," I assured her. "I think we're all a bit maundered right now. It's probably the weather." She laughed and said, "Yes, we've finally been set free from the snowstorm, sure. Snow. It's always about snow."
Yeah, that it is. I do remember growing up, we used to have a lot of snow out in Howley.
I'd say.
Yeah, we'd have 8-foot snow drifts.
Can you imagine?
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it feels so. We've had a couple of winters where it seems like they've been that high, too.
Yeah, and that's like the height of this room is like 8 feet.
Yeah, that's a lot of snow.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, you can't have everything.
Yeah,
And,
you can't have
I wouldn't
everything.
trade the lifestyle here. I wouldn't, you put up with the winters and the snow, or I don't do sledding or anything like that, but a lot of people just, you embrace it, whatever it is. Because the quality of life that you get here, as compared to living in a big city in Ontario, there's no comparison. Yeah, this is where I want to be, so.
Right. I just looked at the time, and it looks like we're running short on time today, so
Okay.
Thank you for joining with us again.
Thank you very much.
And follow us on Facebook for more.
Mhm.
See you next week. This has been Nathan with Sue McFadden. Goodbye.
You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. With Indeed sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Don't wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/PODKATZ13. Just go to Indeed.com/PODKATZ13 right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.
With Robinhood, not only can you trade individual stocks and ETFs, you can also seamlessly buy and sell crypto at low costs. Trade all in one place. Get started now on Robinhood. Trading crypto involves significant risk. Crypto trading is offered through an account with Robinhood Crypto LLC. Robinhood Crypto is licensed to engage in virtual currency business activity by the New York State Department of Financial Services. Crypto held through Robinhood Crypto is not FDIC insured or SIPC protected. Investing involves risk, including loss of principal. Securities trading is offered through an account with Robinhood Financial LLC, member SIPC, a registered broker-dealer.